And a neon Medusa's got your heart. Sweet canyon lullabies. Don't look straight into its eyes. It's a highway, highway to the dark. There's only two ways to make it in this town. One is to be brilliant, the other is to drown. But don't take both drugs all in one go. You can't reach the heavens passed out on the floor. It's a highway, highway to the dark. And a neon Medusa's got your heart. Sweet canyon lullabies. Don't look straight into its eyes. It's a highway, highway to the dark. If your mama could see you now, if your mama could see you now, topless and upside down, the room spinning around. If your mama could see you now, with the party lines coming out, are you lost or are you found? And there are too many mirrors in this Don't fall in love with the man on stage. I'll be on in a minute, then I'll sweep you away. Don't fall for the monsters in this maze, but I could love you forever if you'd meet my gaze.
Long nights, wishing you were by my side, but I hold tight, cause I want something for life. And I don't wanna rush you, girl, don't wanna show my cards, don't wanna break no hearts. Late night, I'm up, you're calling, ask me what I've been holding on to. Baby, believe I'm all in, I'm going out my way for you. But we should take it easy, slow down for a minute, cause baby got me feeling like I lose control. like I lose control. We should take it easy, 'cause now that we're in it, I wanna take my time, take it easy. We should take it easy, slow down for a minute, 'cause baby got me feeling like I lose control. We should take it easy, 'cause now that we're in it, I wanna take my time, take it easy. I like the way you're on to me. It feels a bit like gravity. When you pull, I can push away. 'Cause all I want is to stay with you. You're leaning closer. We're leaning off the edge of trouble, but I won't stop it. 'Cause I'm always so weak when it comes to you. 'Cause I'm always so weak when it comes to you. 'Cause I'm always so weak when it comes to you. Another night in paradise. Well, maybe we've been drinking too much. We were perfectly strangers. But lately I'm feeling lost on you. You're leaning closer. We're leaning off the edge of trouble, but I won't stop it. 'Cause I'm always so weak when it comes to you. 'Cause I'm always so weak when it comes to you. 'Cause I'm always so weak when it comes to you. Baby, just tonight, can we leave our clothes on? Maybe just tonight we can slow things down. We should clear our heads before we turn the lights out. But I'm always so weak when it comes to you. I'm always so weak when it comes to you. Oh, when it comes to you, yeah. I'm always so weak when it comes to you.
What is going on, traders? How are we doing today? If you just woke up, good morning. I just started my morning recently, as in like the last hour. Damn, look at that sexy man, yes sir. What's going on, Dowdy Dibs? Lane Fox, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the first time chat today. Here for some knowledge to be dropped on my head. That's what we're gonna do with the Spy Guy today. All right. Blaze Beast, what's going on? You just woke up? Nice, dude. Welcome, welcome. Grab a coffee. Welcome. Today is episode 3 of season 2 of Trader Spotlight with your host, this guy, 100 a million. And today we have on the legendary Spy Guy Trading. Let me pull up his Twitter so you guys can all hit him with that follow. Bang, bang. There we are. We're going to be going over some option strategies today, some charting, TA, fundamentals, and everything you guys need to know to bank on Tuesday, as it is a long weekend. All right. If you guys do have any questions throughout the interview, please put them in the chat. You can type them out, and just at myself or at SpyGuyTrading. Actually, his name in chat is SpyGuy_. So you can at one of us, and we'll see the question, and we can address it as the time becomes appropriate. Thank you guys for joining me, and let's begin the show. Alrighty. Let me switch my playlist here to my interview playlist. That's right. We got an interview playlist now. Whoa, that's not the interview playlist. One sec. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the interview playlist. Let's go. All right, let's pull up Spy Guy. What's going on, brother? Welcome.
Oh, my lord. I need to put your volume down a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. That's my fault. How are you? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Just trying to get this Saturday started.
Yeah,
Started
for
on the
sure.
right foot.
Yeah.
I see we have a good amount of people in chat. Welcome everybody. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that'll build up too. Let me change. No, that's fine, actually, how it is. No, that's good. No, awesome, man. Great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. So we met over Twitter not too long ago. How did your week go this week, and how you starting off your Saturday? What's a typical Saturday for Spy Guy?
Typical Saturday for Spy Guy. Actually, I'm trying to get into the Ichimoku clouds a little bit. I've never really looked into them. Never really put the time to learn them. So I spent a couple hours this morning going over, back testing some entries with the Ichimoku clouds and just learning, trying to gather as much information as I can. So this morning was an educational morning for me.
Yeah, interesting. Honestly, I haven't even heard of those. That's funny.
Yeah, I actually saw Red Hot posted that he started getting into them, and I kind of looked into them a little bit, and I just like the way they look. So a lot of how I trade is based off of comfortability. That's a big thing for me. If
Gotcha.
I'm not comfortable, I tend to see that hits my how I trade a little bit, right? So just looking at Ichimoku for the first time, I was just comfortable with the way it looked and the sort of layout it gave. So I decided to give it a chance, and so far so good. I like it.
Awesome, man. Well, maybe you can show us a little bit of that later. Let's kind of start things off. Could you kind of give us a deep dive into Spy Guy trading? How did you kind of find trading, stumble across it, and get into it, and build your strategy into what it's become today?
Yeah, so the way I kind of was introduced to trading was through Twitter, right? I was just scrolling through Twitter one day, my personal account, and I came across a tweet. This was in tail end of 2018, around the start of 2019, and it was from a trader. I can't remember who exactly, but it just kind of sparked that interest there for me. And then, of course, I went to YouTube and I started learning a little bit about trading there. And I finally went to take my first step with trading, and it went horribly wrong.
As it does.
Yeah, I kind of went into the market obviously oblivious to what it really is, not really understanding how deep of an understanding you need to be able to traverse the market well. And that didn't really end too well. And I took a step back from the market myself for a couple months, and I was reintroduced again, tail end of 2019, sort of early 2020 via TikTok. And I don't want to drop any names. That's not what I'm here to do. But I joined a Discord from a TikTok I saw.
Okay.
And I have been, given this time frame, I have still been dabbling a little bit with trading and figuring out a strategy I like to use. And I was nowhere near profitable. But what I did enjoy about that was I was sort of just at a baseline. I wasn't losing a ton of money. I wasn't making a ton of money. But I was in a position where I wasn't ready to quit, but I was ready to further my education. And I assumed that this Discord was going to be my holy grail, my Hail Mary to pushing me into becoming the trader I wanted to be. And I got into this Discord, and if I were to look at it from my perspective now, they were teaching all the wrong things, right?
Oh,
they were they were teaching all the wrong things, like pushing really far out of the money contracts, just try to advertise and market these big ol' 10,000% gainers in a week or whatever. And I fell into that trap. You know, I was like, wow, this money is amazing. These gains are ridiculous. These are the best traders I've ever come in my life.
Right.
And I started kind of deviating from my original strategy and my original plan that I've spent all this time conjuring up. And I started moving in this direction. And really quickly, I took about a $12,000 to $15,000 account to about $1,500, $2,000.
Oh.
And yeah, it just absolutely ruined me. My confidence was shot. I told myself 100% I'm done with trading. I'm done with investing in the stock market.
Right.
And that lasted about 3 months before I saw another TikTok about, you know, the whole financial sector going into the stock market and day trading strategies. And when I saw that, I realized I do really have a passion for it. The time that I spent in the market, I really enjoyed. I've always had an issue with anxiety and a little bit of that mental health aspect of my life, and I felt like trading really helped me kind of reel that all in and stay level-headed. So I decided I'd go back into it, but what I did differently this time around is I really stuck to only Twitter, and I was in no Discords. I wasn't in anything like that until I figured out a way to be true to myself and a way to be successful and profitable within myself. So I spent about, from there, my plan was a year. So I wrote in paper, I was like, I want to spend a year educating myself, paper trading, back testing strategies, and proving to myself that I could be profitable prior to starting to use money again. And I didn't last a year, but I lasted right around 8 months. So it was just YouTube education. I bought courses I could find. I actually invested in Carmine Rosado's course on supply and demand. InvestiTrade, for those of you that don't know, that course actually helped me a lot build my technical ability with supply and demand and understand a little bit more how the markets work. And then I just went through YouTube University, right? I really watched almost any video I can, trying to filter out the strategies I do like versus the ones I don't like. And books. Some people talk down on books, but with the way my mind is wired, I genuinely like reading books. It allows me to break down information in a different way than I normally would be able to.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for about 8 months until I kind of finally went back into the market. And from then on, I still wasn't super profitable, but I was to a point where I was profitable. It just wasn't anything spectacular.
Okay.
And from there on, I've just been continuously, to this day, still refining my strategy and
of course,
making it what I want it to be, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. And is that something, are you trading full time now, or are you stuck in a day job like me still?
I am. So I
Okay.
went full time in October of last year.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's big.
Thank
man.
you. Yeah,
And
it's been a fun journey, but it's been a stressful journey, that's for sure.
I bet, especially that first transition. Like, how did it feel to quit your job for trading? Like, was it a good job that you left?
So I was a systems administrator for a financial institution.
Okay.
Essentially what I did was just overview the production floor. We printed credit cards, debit cards, credit cards, gift cards,
Mm-hmm.
all the sorts. So I just administrated the day-to-day on the floor and within our databases. So it was an all right job, but it was definitely something that I didn't enjoy.
Right.
So moving into the trading full time definitely improved my quality of life. I'm definitely happier, but the stress may be a little bit higher.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. No, that's awesome, man. Congratulations, that's huge.
Thank you.
That is the goal. Blaze Beast is asking in chat if you have any recommendation on books or like where we can find some good trading books that you like.
Yeah, I actually have a list. Let me
It's awesome.
get that.
Yeah, if you
I
have the
a
link,
list of-
you can drop that in chat, and then that gets saved in the VOD as well.
Yeah, of course. I'll do that now.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess my next question is, how would you define what type of trader you are right now? Or like, as in like day trader, swing trader, options, long-term investor, a mix of all three, indicators and stuff like that. How would you define your trading strategy present day?
Sorry.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for the dump there. I see that.
Yeah. Okay. Right now I'm definitely strictly a day trader.
Gotcha.
Reason being is I've tried to swing trade and I've even long-term investing. I have a small long-term investing portfolio, but like I was saying earlier, I have to be comfortable with the investments I make.
Mm-hmm.
And when I put something into a swing trade or long-term investment, although it's a good decision on paper, for me it doesn't make sense just with the way my mind's wired. So even if I'm holding a contract overnight, I'm pretty anxiety driven as an individual.
Me too.
So just seeing the market close and my money being trapped in a position that I really don't have any control over, even if the thesis for that trade is working for me, I'm going to be up all night worried about that money, right? Even if it's, an arbitrary like $10, I'm still going to be worried about it, just the person that I am.
Yeah,
So
yeah, totally, man. I'm the same way.
yeah. So I try to limit the amount of anxiety I expose myself to. So within that sense, I strictly stick to day trading now. I've figured that I'm not really a swing trader, so just stick to what I know and what I like and move forward.
Got you. And did you so you're pretty much strictly options, right?
Yeah, strictly
Okay.
options.
Did you ever trade commons, and what caused that switch if you did?
I did trade commons, and that's when I was telling you earlier about how I joined that Discord.
Right.
A lot of that was pushing towards those low float, really cheap commons that you can trade, but a lot of that was honestly just pump and dumps.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And when you're following alerts like that, with the limited knowledge that I did have, I found myself getting caught in a bunch of pump and dumps, right? And then I was pushed this narrative that, this stock is going to do amazing, blah, 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 whatever the fundamentals are this. So then I was one of those people you see now where I'm like a cult member of this stock and I'm not going to sell it, right? I was told this stock's going to go from $3 to $20, and I'm
Right.
not selling until I see that $20. So ever since that experience, that's where I lost a good majority of my money in that first account that I did create. It's just left a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm done with commons. I don't care about them. I'm strictly large cap options, and that's it. I
Yes,
have
sir.
a really tight list of tickers that I like to trade. I can share those as well if people are interested.
Yeah,
And I just stick to those tickers and I rinse and repeat them, and that's it.
amazing. Let's talk about it. That's a common question that I ask options traders is, a lot of us have just that small group that we always come back to when, everything else seems too crazy. What is your group of tickers? If you want, you can drop it or you can screen share on Discord if you'd like to show them. Would love to see that. And is one of them SPY?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just dropped it in chat.
Oh,
That's
sweet.
my main trading list. That one is a little bit longer from the day to day.
Okay.
I really stick to only SPY. I chart ES for that, of course.
Mhm.
And then I like to stick to Apple, AMD, Microsoft, and that's really about it. Those are that's my core list that I like to trade. Reason being is I'm most comfortable with those options chains and the liquidity within those chains, so I don't really fear that I'm not going to have my orders filled.
Right.
So again, going back on that point of comfortability, I need comfortability in my strategy to perform at the levels that I want to perform at. And those tickers over the course of my career so far have given me that comfortability that I've grown so used to having.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Now, you did mention that you at one point kind of blew up an account, not fully, but you're down to like $1,500. You
Yes.
must have some experience trading smaller account sizes. What were some strategies you found the most useful, or looking back, what strategies would you have implemented more, or tips or tricks for a small account to be successful?
Yeah, great question. So I didn't necessarily go the route people want to hear. So a lot of the times you'll see, 10% of your account, 10% max stop loss. But if you're trading $1,000 account, $500 account, whatever the case may be, using 10% of that account and trying to build it up is going to take forever. Battling, trying to be profitable and trying to be, of course, more successful than you're not successful, and only taking 10%, $50 at a time, you're going to have to hit a lot of trades in a row to start building that account to a point that you want it to be at. So the way I kind of did it is, at that point, I was really studying supply and demand pretty heavily.
Mhm.
So I focused my strategy strictly around supply and demand. So there would be days within the week, there would be 3 days a week sometimes where I wouldn't be taking any trades because I was specifically looking for the things that I'm watching to fall into place. So when I'm looking for supply and demand, that was mostly just on SPY because those contracts are pretty cheap. I'd be playing SPY or Apple supply and demand, and I was just looking for indications of trend in my given direction within those demand zones. So whether that be a higher low and a higher high, or a lower low or a lower high. And what I was doing there was I was putting myself in a position to where I was most comfortable, but I was also most confident in the trade I'm taking. And with taking trades within supply and demand, for me, that allowed me to have a very strict stop loss. So if I'm playing within a demand zone and I'm looking for, let's say, a higher low to print to take a trade to the upside, my risk there is relatively tight, because if that trade for whatever reason invalidates the bottom of my demand zone, I'm completely, and right away I'm out of that position. Mental stop loss there.
Gotcha.
You can't really dictate Deb 922. You can't really dictate a hard stop in that situation given the way premiums move. So it's always a mental stop for me. But
Looking for
I keep
weakness
my
in the
risk-
trade, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking for any weakness or invalidation of your trend, or just a break of that demand zone, is really what I watched. And given that scenario, of course, for me, I'd be highly confident in that situation. So I'd be putting a good chunk of my portfolio in that one trade.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, it'd be my only trade. So even if I took a loss, I'd run out of that settled cash. So I wouldn't be able to trade for the rest of the day, given that I was on a cash account. But it'd really only be one confident trade a day until I was able to build my account to a point where, I could start breaking it up into percentages.
Gotcha. So that was my next question, was how often were you finding these setups? Because you're looking for high confidence trades. So to find those is maybe far and few between, which is not a bad thing, right?
Yeah, not a bad thing at all. And I mean, to this day, that's a lot of how my strategy continues to be. Even now, I'll find myself taking sometimes below 5 trades a week. I'm not necessarily trading every day, although I'm watching the charts every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm strictly looking for what I want to see. And a lot of the times that brings the quantity of my trades down, but it doesn't ever really hurt the quality of my trades, which is, to the people that are in my streams or whatever the case may be, I preach that all the time, is you don't need quantity in your trades to have quality trades. You're just putting yourself at an inherent disadvantage trying to take almost any opportunity you see, rather than filtering that noise out and really looking for the ones that shine at you and taking those with confidence. You're going to make more money doing that than taking 10, 15 trades a day, scavenging for 5-10%. Although that's going to work, you're going to hit a lot of your stop losses in that scenario. So if you're really looking for those hard pivots, hard reversals, and you're being strict with your strategy, more often than not, you're going to hit more consistently, and you're also going to hit for more money because you are trading off that confidence.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. Just to touch on supply and demand zones as well, if you're buying, let's say, some calls in a demand zone, what are you looking for in a demand zone to know if it's going to break or if it is going to hold up and push the stock back up?
So what I look for a lot is indications within volume, and then just strictly support and resistance levels. So my main strategy, even to today, is I strictly, on the chart, all I really have are my support and resistance levels in my supply and demand zones, and often just trend lines. Again, I'm trying to get into Ichimoku, but for now, that's really all you see on my charts.
Yeah, awesome.
And what I look for there is oftentimes you'll have a support or resistance level falling in that demand zone or supply zone you're watching. And what I look for there is, of course, indications of trend. So if I'm trying to take calls outside of that demand zone, I'm looking for first, I want a higher low to print out of that zone, or if price breaks that zone just off of a first interaction with it, I'm always looking for a retest of that zone to confirm that we have that zone providing support to our price action. So I look for that confirmation of support. And what I kind of preach are my 3 commandments. So my 3 commandments there are confirmation, trend, and retest. And what I mean by that is confirmation out of that demand zone. Given that you have that first point of support to your price action, I look for trend. So what I'm looking for next is that higher low or higher high being printed. And then my third point is a retest. I always want to see a retest of whether it's a support or a resistance level I'm trading off of, or a supply and demand zone. So I always look for that 3 retest. And once I have all those 3 things fall into place for my trade, what I look for there is that initial candle that's retesting that level or that demand zone. I take an entry once price goes through that and the high of that initial retesting candle. Reason being is you can have that retesting candle, but once that next candle opens, you can see continued downside. If you see volume decreasing in favor of sellers, if you see that selling pressure increase, I have a really nice study on Thinkorswim that shows that data really well.
Okay.
So if I see weakness in that, even if I have all those three things fall into place, I'm not going to take that trade unless I see that initial retesting candles high broken. And the reason that I look for that is you have the highest probability of a reversal happening when you have the high of that candle broken, because price is continuing to the upside. If you don't have the price continuing to that upside and breaking that initial candle retesting high, you have more probability of moving to the downside. And in the game of options and in the game of trading in general, it's a game of probability. So we try to put ourselves in a place where the probability is in our favor. And in turn, most of the time, not all the time, but you'll see that trade work in your favor. So I have a couple examples I've posted in my Discord about that. I can pull up some charts just kind of explaining what I mean.
Yeah, if do you want to screen share?
I can screen share. I'll screen share Discord. Let me know if you can see that.
Yep, you're good. You are live. Oh, just see if you can mute me.
Alrighty.
Or hang on. Wait, I think I can do it. Okay, you're good. Wait, can I hear you now? Yeah, okay, I can.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Carry on.
Oh, I'm sharing my... Okay, hold on. I have to redo this. I feel old sometimes when I use Discord.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm like, huh.
Like, what is going on here, whippersnapper?
Okay, all right. I figured it out. All right, can you see that?
Yes, we're good.
All right, so here's what I mean just based off of a support level. This was a really quick one on QQQ, but
Okay.
this didn't really play into our trend, but I'm just going to explain why I'm talking about the high of that initial retesting candle. So we have that retest here that I was looking for off of our support. And this candle that initially retested this level, I'm looking for a break of that high. If we don't have a break of this high, you have a higher probability of this trade continuing to the downside because you have strength in that trend where sellers are present. Sellers are overwhelming buyers in this scenario. So what I'm looking for here is the high of this candle to be broken, but a reason we did like this trade, given that we didn't have an indication of trend, we had this hammer. So implementing different strategies into my strategy is something I like to do. So whether I don't have trend, I like to trade that for candlestick patterns, and if I don't have candlestick patterns, I like to trade that for trend. So in this scenario, we had a nice hammer candle print, which is of course bullish in our favor, and then I was looking for a close over that initial retesting candle high. So this trade was mentioned live on stream, and I went over my thought process on this, and in this scenario, what we're looking for is entry above that initial candle retesting high, and our stop loss is right under that level of support. So if we saw, after we took this entry here, if we saw either of these candles even break our support for a second, we're immediately out of that trade. Reason being, we're back under the high of that initial retesting candle, and now we're under our level of support, which in this case is the core to our thesis around this trade, right? We want to see a double bottom off support. So that's the core to our thesis. If the core to our thesis is invalidated or broken, there's no reason for us to be in this trade anymore. So exit. That allows us to keep our risk really, really tight. Given we do take trades on retests, we can take a trade as close to that support as possible. We have our risk tight, and we take that trade once we see the probability of that trade in our favor is for us. So again, that's the high of that initial retesting candle. We take our trade. And in this scenario, I use a strategy that I haven't really seen too many people talk about it. I've kind of coined it the PCL PCH strategy. So in this scenario, if you're playing calls to the upside, what we look for is PCL. And essentially all that means is previous candle low. So I'm trading my exits and I'm managing my position based off of previous candle low. And usually the way we do that is the first break of PCL, you scale whatever you're comfortable with. So whether that's 25, 50, 75% of your position. And the second break of PCL is usually when you close your position full. So in this scenario, first break of PCL is that point in where we scale. Second point of PCL is where we close our full position. So right up there about where that trade is reversing or pivoting. And that's one thing I really like about PCL, because if you just think about it for a second, if you have the low of that previous candle broken, oftentimes that's where you see pivots or reversals happening, right? You have a change in your direction, you have a change in trend or strength in trend, where either sellers start to kind of overwhelm buyers or buyers start to overwhelm sellers. And that's where I've identified PCL and PCH really being effective, at least in the way I trade. So in this scenario, selling your full position at that second break of PCL allowed you to avoid both this chop and then this eventual little bit of sell off there. So
Right. Wow. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I've never
yeah,
heard something quite like that. That's really, really interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
of course.
We do have a question in chat. I'm going to read it out. It's a bit long. When you have a larger account, here, sorry, let me exit the Discord. Perfect. When you have a larger account, say you want to put 10K into a trade on SPY, would you put it all on one strike / expiration or spread it out over multiple strikes and expirations? SPY would probably be okay on one strike and expiration due to great liquidity, but there are circumstances that one should be aware of, or just make sure there's liquidity for that kind of size.
Well, that's a good question. If I'm playing heavier, I'm staying strict to that tight list I was telling you about earlier. So
Right.
the strategy I take with my contracts is simplest strategy you're ever going to hear. I'm not someone who's really looking at the Greeks and determining which strategies are going to, give me the best profits. I'm really, whenever I'm taking my trades, I'm taking the first strike at the money every time. I don't necessarily care about the Greeks. That's just the way I trade. I know some people might crucify me for it. Some people might not. I just take that first strike at the money every time, whether it's a 0 DTE or it's Monday and I'm taking the end of the week contracts. I'm always taking the first at the money contract. And even if I'm playing pretty heavily, I'm only playing heavily if I'm playing something like SPY or Apple. I'm not going to trade a large amount of money on something that doesn't have the most liquid chain, like Snapchat or PLTR or something like that. If I'm trading heavy and I'm trading with strength in my confidence like that, I'm sticking to what works for me. So again, that's either, if I'm trading really heavy positions, it's SPY and Apple, and that's it. That's just a rule I've set for myself, and I'm not going to deviate from it no matter what the scenario.
Right, that's awesome. Yes, first strike out the money. Unfortunately, Gray. Thank you for the follow, by the way.
If you want, I could show. I pulled up another example. If you want to pull
Yeah,
up the
let's see it.
Discord. Just
Got it.
here. Okay, so if we look at the second trade,
Let me just make sure that my face isn't covering this. Let me
No
take
worries.
myself off the screen real quick. And chat's coming off too. There we go. All right, go ahead.
So if we look at the second trade here, the first one was a little bit more aggressive, but if we take a look at the second trade and we look at the 3 commandments that I preach, again, as outlined here, confirmation, trend, and a retest. I did forget to have the volume open in this example, but again, I also look at volume. In this scenario, that blue circle that we see here would be our confirmation and price action that are now resistance level. Previous support was invalidated. So since our candle has closed beneath that, we are confirming that that level is now going to be acting as resistance to our price action. So we check off confirmation. What are we looking for now in trend? What we're looking for now in trend are lower highs. So you take this first high, this second high, you already have a lower high, and our retest would be our third lower high. So if we get that retest in this scenario, we would have a perfect place to take an entry, given that retest will print for us, another lower high will print for us, and we have confirmation. So we meet our requirements of confirmation, trend, and retest. Again, in this scenario, that initial retesting candle is, the range of that candle is really wide. So what we do then there is, if we have an inside bar on the 3-minute, we take the low of that inside bar. So printed an inside bar here, we take the low of that inside bar as an entry, and then from this point forward, we use PCH. Since we're taking puts to the downside, we're using that previous candle high to both manage our position and look for an exit. So if we're using PCH in this scenario, we're looking for that first break of PCH to scale our position, whatever percentage scale is comfortable for you. Again, in this scenario, I usually do about 50%. if you want to do 25%, 75%, whatever's comfortable for you. And then that second break of PCH is where we normally exit our full position. So first break of PCH here, we scale that position. Second break of PCH, you see all the way down, essentially at the bottom of this trend, we would exit our full position. And as I explained earlier, a lot of what this allows us to do is prevent us from holding through chop or continue or a reversal in our price action. So in this scenario, that did allow us to exit essentially all this chop. Although this trend did continue more to the downside, we were able to hold through the chunk of this move, and really we were able to sell at a point where premiums were still nice and juiced, because this trend was still just about entering that consolidation or that basing in our price action. So
Right.
another example there on how simple this strategy is, but it's so effective if you do it right. If you're really strict on your exits and your entries using just this method, I'm not going to say it's 100% right, but it's so simple that anyone can really do it. All you're using in this scenario are support and resistance levels, but you're being disciplined. And that's a lot of where traders tend to struggle, because it's really hard to be disciplined in the market. I don't care who you are, it's really difficult. And again, this scenario, our entries is green level and our stop loss is right above that point of resistance. So again, our stop is pretty tight, and our risk to reward essentially in this scenario was that next level of support that I have drawn on that chart. In this scenario, it worked out really well.
Okay, got you. And so would that stop be an actual stop you place in, or is that also a mental stop?
I'm usually always just mental stops.
Yeah, gotcha.
I rarely, the only time I set a hard stop is once my trade is up. So I also always preach, if you're in the money on a trade, at least start setting your stop losses at break even, so you don't allow yourself to go red on a green trade. And as that trade progresses, I like to actively move my stop up. So if I'm up 20, 30%, I'll move my stop loss to 10% in the money. If I'm up 50%, I'll usually move it up to about 25, 30% in the money, and so on and so forth.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense. In a situation where you're currently up on a play, is there a situation where you would let a runner kind of go, or are you always taking profits at your certain profit taking levels?
I'm always taking profits.
Gotcha.
I'm always taking profits. I like to just take the money when it's there and
Mhm.
move on. Whether I look for another entry within that trade is a different story. But once I get my second break PCH, PCL, usually I'm always taking that full position. I'm never really leaving runners, because I like to limit myself to being almost always only in one trade at a time, or max 2 trades. I like to keep my focus on one thing, make my money there, and then move on. So always really selling my full position at that second break PCH, and then just looking for the next thing.
Got you. Okay. Now, what are some? I'm gonna flip my camera back on here. What are some of the most common issues that you see with new traders in the market, specifically psychological, like FOMO and that kind of stuff? What are some common issues that you see, and how can we kind of combat those?
Uh-oh.
Are you good?
Being old again. Yeah, I accidentally left.
Did you miss the question?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you're
accidentally
good.
left because I was ending the stream, and I guess I disconnected.
He pieced out. That's a pump and dump. No, I was just asking, what are the most common issues that you see, whether it's in your group or on social media, from traders that are just super frustrating, and what are some tips that you could put out there to combat those? Maybe psychology or some bad strategies you see that are popular, stuff like that.
Bad strategies that I see are popular. One that is extremely, extremely, extremely popular right now is just taking trades through a level.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, levels don't really mean anything for you to take a trade off of. It's just a point of support or resistance on the chart. There really should, you need confluence in your trading. So if you're taking trades strictly based off of someone's watch list or someone's alerts levels, you have no thesis for that trade. And if you're entering a trade with no thesis, the probability of that trade working in your favor is greatly diminished. You
Right.
need confluence in your strategy when you're taking any entry if you want to be consistently profitable.
No,
At the end of the day,
exactly.
if you're taking trades through a level, you have no idea if that's going to continue, if you're going to fake out, if you're going to reject. There's nothing telling you that. At least in that scenario, look for points or trends in price action, characteristics in price action that at least give you a sense of where that price may continue, whether that's a higher low printed, a retest of that level, a lower low printed, volume. If you look into VPA analysis a little bit, is volume supporting that move? So let's say you have price moving into a level of resistance. Do you have buyers that volume where buyers are slowly stepping in and that volume is stepping to the upside? If you have an increase in volume wedging into a level of resistance, you have a greater opportunity if you have that candle close above for that trend to break out and continue because you have buyers supporting that move. If you're not looking at volume, if you're not looking at trend or characteristics and price action, and you're only taking trades through a level, you're really going to struggle with consistency because you're not looking at any other factors in that price action. You're only looking for one thing, and that one thing can be hit 10 times in a trading session. You can see price flirting with a level for 3 hours. And if you're taking trades every time that level is invalidated, whether up to the upside or the downside, you're going to take 10, 15 trades, and you're almost always going to stop out on them because you could be taking trades within a basing period in that price action or within consolidation. So you need confluence in your strategy. If you're listening to this and you're trading right now directly only off of support and resistance, stop trading. Give yourself a strategy to trade off of. Take a week off, back test a strategy, get comfortable with something, and once you come back, you'll see you're going to start to be more consistent. And taking that week off, not taking trades because of one point of confluence, you're going to start making more money and you're going to see that it's worth it. And at that point, you can start working more in depth on creating a strategy and really becoming comfortable with it.
Right. No, that makes a ton of sense, man. The level is like the tip of the iceberg, and you have that whole bigger portion of it underneath, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we do have a question popping up in chat. Most of my losses occur when I have high confidence. How do I separate high confidence from confirmation bias? I can't help to look for indicators that support my thesis. Then I can't understand how the play didn't work out, or it works out, but my timing is off, or I get faked out.
So, I mean, a lot of the times I take trades that I have high confidence in, and they just don't work out. The thing is, in the market, you can have everything line up for you, and you can be highly confident in the trade you're taking, but it's just not going to work out. And that's how trading is. It's never your strategy is never going to be 100%. You're going to take losses, even when everything is in your direction or pointing in your favor. So, one thing I want to touch on there is you just have to accept and be able to take losses just the same as you take wins. You have to understand, okay, I was confident. I took that trade based off of these points of confidence, these points of confirmation, and it just didn't work out. And that's how the market is. You have to be open and accepting to losses. And the other thing I want to mention there is I don't know what you mean by indicators, but if it's just by having a bunch of indicators on your chart, that's one thing, in my opinion, that sets apart high confidence and confirmation bias. A lot of the times people tend to use too many indicators, and essentially what indicators, in my opinion, essentially all indicators do are give you a different story of what candlesticks and price action are already showing you.
Right.
The indicators are based off of the data that the candlesticks and the market's showing you on the chart. It's just a different way to paint that story. And what indicators do, they make people look for holy grails. Or if you're setting up if price is setting up in a position where the core of the market volume is really weak and it's not going to support that price action, oftentimes you'll have indicators showing you something that in a bearish situation may be bullish. So if you have 4 indicators showing you something that is a holy grail or is high indication that this is going to reverse, but you don't have volume, there's no reason to take that trade, because what moves the market? Buyers and sellers. What shows us buyers and sellers? Volume. If you don't have volume, that trade's not going to move just because an indicator is telling you it's going to move. You need to be able to break down your thesis and your confidence in a trade based off of why the market moves. And at the end of the day, the market moves from volume. You have to be able to analyze volume, look into VPA analysis, understand how to read volume in situations, and most of the time you're going to see that it's going to make a big difference on the reason you're either getting into a trade or the reason you're not getting into a trade. Because there are a lot of times I have my 3 commandments hit, confirmation, trend, retest. I have everything pointing in the right direction, but my volume is showing a completely different story. And a lot of times I don't take those trades because volume isn't there, and I save myself from taking a loss because you need volume to support your move.
Gotcha. No, that makes perfect sense. There is another question in chat about support and resistance. It's from Blaze B. It says support and resistance zones versus pivot points. Are they the same thing or a little bit different?
Same thing.
Okay.
In my opinion, same thing. So the way I draw support and resistance levels are pivots or reversals on a chart. So I usually start from the daily chart. The way I draw my support and resistance levels, I go from my daily time frame, my 4-hour time frame, and my hourly time frame. Those are really the only 3 time frames I draw support and resistance levels off of. And what I look for there are reversals or pivots. If I see that on the chart, I'll immediately draw support resistance based off of the higher low of that pivot. And then I look for areas where we have levels that are interacted with multiple times. So if I have a level that I have identified that 6, 7, 8 candles have interacted with in the past, where it provides both support and resistance price action, I'll also plot that level there because, of course, it's a historically strong level to trade off.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Let's talk a little bit about options flow since we are options traders. How often do you use options flow? How do you like to read it? And where does that come into, where does that play into your trading strategy and finding some good plays?
Yeah, okay. So although I love flow and I'm a big advocate of flow, I don't use it all too often in my strategy. What I really only use it for is building my watch list. So what I like to use unusual wheels for specifically is I'll go to the hot chains and tickers page, and I look for tickers that have either a high or low call premium percentage / call volume percentage. So I look for things that have strong sentiment either to the upside or the downside. And what I do from there is I take those tickers that fall into the list of tickers I trade. The ones with that strength and sentiment, I essentially just go look at the charts. If I do see something forming that I like technically, then I look to take trades forward from there. I don't really use flow all too often. I used to use the intraday analysis a little bit more, but I've really just grown more comfortable with using flow to build my watch lists and then sticking to just straight price action and volume when I'm trading intraday.
Got you. Okay. I kind of found that too. Like when I first kind of got onto flow, it was like, man, this is the next big thing. Like this is it. It's gonna change everything, right? And then I'm like, I don't really use it that much, or I don't find it's really affecting price action that much intraday. You know what I mean? But
no,
I like what you said as far as like finding setups or finding some tickers that are gonna have some liquidity, stuff like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Do you use any scanners or anything to find plays throughout the day, or are you kind of just sticking to your list?
I used to have trade ideas, but it was another one of those things similar to flow where, I had it up on a screen, but I never found that I really looked at it all too often, just because, to me, again, I'm creating my watch lists at night, and I'm a really big proponent on coming into the day with a plan, and I don't deviate from it. So looking at a scanner would be, coming up with a plan on the spot, which doesn't fit my strategy. I like to come into the market with a list of tickers and a list of plans and theses I have come up with for the day, and I strictly just look for that. I don't deviate from that. I don't look for any new trades during the day. That's mostly where I found in my past that I took most of my losses, is just trying to come up with something on the spot. I like to have the chart that I'm looking at fully charted, ready to go. I like to have my plan, and then I just trade that plan during the day. If I don't take any trades, if none of those things show for me, then I don't take any trades, and that's just reality. But I'm never really throughout the day looking for something and really trying to force myself to take a trade.
Okay, got you. So you have your own room that you run. Do you want to kind of plug it and kind of show us what we can expect in there and how to sign up and stuff like that?
Sure. I do have my little room, SpyGuyTrading. What I really focus on there is I preach to everybody. I post on Twitter, whatever. I do not run this as an alert service. I'm not telling you entries and exits. I'm not telling you when to take a trade. Uh, I'm not going to be there to hold hands. What I really focus on there is the educational aspect to trading, teaching people the way I trade, if that's something they want to continue to use going forward, or teaching people a way to create their own plans and strategies. If you go in there and you're asking for entries and exits, most of the time you're going to get blocked. I'm going to cancel your membership. That's not what I want. I want people to find a way to be able to build their strategy and actually become profitable on their own. And that's a lot of the reason I started the Twitch as well, is to create a free place for people to gain that knowledge. I don't necessarily just want to have one strict place where I'm like, oh, you have to pay for this if you want to get, my insight. That's why I created this Twitch where I stream every morning. I stream from 8:30 to 11:30 Central every morning to give people an idea of how I break down the market, the way I think throughout the market, and the way I trade. So whether you would like to join that and be a paying member and maybe get a side of the education that I don't really give on Twitch, but if you don't want to pay and you want to be someone that gains that information, gains that educational side to the way I like to teach, there's always the Twitch, and you can do that for free, and you can just watch throughout the day. So I never push people to be like, oh, you have to pay if you want to learn from me. No, I think that's kind of lame. So big reason why I started the Twitch. I like to give that free info out and really help anyone I can. At the end of the day, that's why I'm on social media, is to help. That's it. That's all I want. So if you do want want to join that and maybe gain a little side of insight that I don't necessarily give out throughout the day, I do a lot of those trade recaps where if we take trades on stream, I break them down and I write out why we took the trades and give the explanations on entries and exits in the Discord. And then I've noticed that has helped a lot of people build their discipline and really focus on what they're looking for and being a little bit more strict. So if that's what you want, you can do that. But I push people more towards the Twitch side. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch it. You can gain the knowledge there. And if it's something you like, you can potentially move to the Discord. If it's not, then you don't have to watch.
100%, man. I actually didn't know you had a Twitch channel, so I'll be sure to follow you and check out your stuff, man, for sure.
Yeah, I don't really push things. Like, I don't advertise the Discord. I don't really advertise the Twitch because I let people join as they please. It's not something I'm like, I actively advertise.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, what's up, Maple Stacks? I see you in chat there. How's it going,
Maple
man?
Stacks.
Yeah, hanging out.
I see Maple Stacks on Twitter here and there.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. He's a legend. Love his community. It's all about profession, learning, and education of training. That's awesome.
Yeah, Lame Fox has been in the community for a while now. It's honestly crazy. Like, this isn't an advertisement, but he has come such a long way, and it's one of the things that makes me so happy in what I do. He was a one-on-one student, and to me, it's the most rewarding thing. I know the difficulty of coming up and really learning on how to trade yourself, and Lame Fox came into the one-on-ones with difficulty there on how to trade, and every day in the stream I see his progression and I see how he's coming into his personality as a trader, and it's so rewarding. It's like the best thing for me if I see people getting messages like, oh, you've allowed me to be blah 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 this consistent, you've allowed me to make this much money pay off my rent, or I had a guy tell me he was able to propose to his girlfriend, and they already they're planning their wedding and stuff.
No way, congrats.
Yeah, that's what, like, it just makes me so happy, and that's what a lot of the reason I don't advertise my Discord. It's not like a money grab. I'm not trying to actively be like, oh, join this, give me money and I'll teach you the way to trade. No.
Right.
Come listen to me for free on Twitch. If you like me and you want that more intimate setting, then you can join the Discord. If not, no harm, no foul.
That's awesome, man. I completely love that.
I did see your tweet about starting a Patreon. Do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, do it. Like,
I've been on the fence. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of flack for it because I've been preaching free stuff all the time. But at the same time, you don't have to pay for it, and I'm trying to run it super cheap. And what's your 2 cents on it?
At the end of the day, nobody wants to work for free. Whether I always see the thing, oh well, if you're a successful trader, you should just give out information for free. No, at the end of the day, whether it's one-on-ones or providing content for the Discord, I'm taking an extra 3 to 4 to 5 hours each night providing value to the Discord or to the one-on-ones. And what that does is take away from time with my family, time with my fiance. I haven't really been able to see friends as much as I have since I started the Discord. It takes away a lot of that quality of life you have because you're trying to provide value and content to the people who are paying for a service, right? And you're not going to take away that quality of your life and get nothing in return.
Yeah.
And as long as you still provide value outside of a paid service, if you're still providing free value like you for your Twitch or just content on your Twitter, you're not being someone who's like gatekeeping your knowledge,
right?
Keeping it behind a paywall. You're still allowing people to get a sense of who you are and how you trade for free. And at that point, I don't think it's an issue at all. So you need that support and that structure in your life, and a Patreon will allow you to do that.
And it's that thing too where like you like how a certain trader trades and you want to dive more into that, but maybe they don't have the time to address you. Like I know that my schedule is always crazy. It allows you to focus in on that person who's willing to push a little bit of monetary value towards your time or whatever, and allow you to have that sort of time to sit down with them. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I completely get it.
It's crazy, man. When I was doing Twitch, I used to do live day trading 12 to 4, Monday to Friday. That was when I was working night shift. And my schedule was this, man. It was so crazy. At 5 o'clock would hit, 5 o'clock p.m. at night, I would eat and then drive to work. I'd work from 6 at night to 6 in the morning. And then I'd drive home and I'd sleep from 7 until like 10. And I'd miss the open, which was horrible because that's when I like to trade. And then I would eat and have breakfast from like 10 till 11. Sometimes I'd sleep in to like 11 or whatever. And then at 12 o'clock, I'd start the stream, do the stream 12 to 4, live trading. And then I'd have to eat and then leave by 5 again. And that was the cycle all week. It was crazy, man. And the money I was making on Twitch was like, it added up to like 5 cents an hour.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah, no, when I was working full time, a big reason I started the Discord and stuff was I was working full time as obviously a systems administrator. I had to be on site, right? I have to be on site to allow to be able to help with anything going on. So I'm working from 8 in the morning, so I'm not able to trade open. I'm working from 8 to 5. I get home at around 6. And from the Twitter, I was providing all that free education, and it was, I'd get home at 6. I'd shower, eat. I stopped going to the gym. I didn't have time for it. I'd shower, eat. 7 o'clock comes around. I'd start. I had a free room at the time. So from 7 till like 10:30 every day, I'd be answering questions, providing information. I'd be live charting with people, watch lists for the next day. I'd be doing one-on-ones that at the time I was doing for free as well. So I'm leaving the house at 8 a.m. By the time I'm done with Twitter and the Discord and everything, it's 11 p.m. And I'm not able to see my, at the time, girlfriend. I'm not able to spend any time with my family. People are like, is this even worth it? Why are you putting all your time in this?
Right.
You're essentially like ruining your life. At the time, I was having a lot of difficulty with my mental health.
Yeah.
Because it felt like I was just a robot, right? It was
Me
8
too,
to
man.
11 every day.
Yep.
And it was really, again, lessening my quality of life. I felt sad more often than I was happy, you know? I just felt overworked and like it was for nothing. I wasn't getting anything out of it.
Bro, I can completely relate to that. That's crazy.
And at the end of the day, I created the Discord to help me with that, help kind of create structure around that lifestyle, and then just reap some reward for the work you're putting in. You're not going to go to a day job and work from, let's say 3 to 8 and get nothing for it, right? Just because you want to provide these people with whatever service for free. It's just not realistic.
Right.
Like in this day and age, it's not realistic.
Yeah, no, 100%. You said it perfectly. I couldn't agree with you more on that. That's awesome, man. Any more questions from chat? If you guys have any questions on, you know, actually, what we can do, I got 2 more for you. If someone is trying to trade while they're at work, or while they're working to try to get out of their job or whatever, what are some strategies that person could try to implement to try to be successful while having the distractions of working a full-time job?
Yes. So I created a strategy around this because I did
That's
work,
awesome.
and I had to be on the floor. So I really only had
shit.
really tight windows to take trades. I'd have 10 to 15 minutes to be able to identify a trade and take it. So the way I did it was, again, I used my 3 commandments. I was taking entries of really strict positions in the chart when essentially all my stars aligned. And what I did there was, obviously I couldn't hold a mental stop loss because I'm leaving the room. So what I did there was I'd start taking entries a little bit more aggressively. As soon as I see that initial retesting candle high broken, I take an entry, and I would just have to kind of guesstimate where that stop loss would fall into place based off of my support or resistance level. So usually between 15 to 20% stop is what I'd be comfortable setting myself at. And in that scenario, I'm not really able to just hold the trade and leave and come back, because oftentimes you'll see that reversal or that pivot happen, and I'd be away for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. So what I would do there is I found a level I was comfortable with taking my profits at every time, and I just set a take profit. So if I'm trading on Webull, I set a take profit at 30% in that trade. So I'm risking 20% for 30%. Not the best risk reward ratio, but a lot of the times I'd come back and that would just automatically trigger my take profit, and I would have made some money on that trade while I'm gone. So that's really the strategy I try to teach people who do work full time, is if you don't really have time to look at the charts, you have to be really strict with your entries. If you're not strict with your entries, you're just going to continually hit those stop losses. Strict with your entries, follow your trading strategy and your plan, and just set take profits. It's the easiest way to really trade hands off and still be able to make money consistently. But you can't set your take profits at unrealistic levels. You can't be setting it 80, 100%
Right.
In the green. You have to set it between 20 to 40% if you want it to hit consistently.
And, sorry, I missed it. Did you say you would set a stop loss in that situation as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd have to, just because, I'd be out of the room for 3 to 4 hours. So I'd set usually about like 15 to 20% stop loss in
Okay.
those scenarios.
And what tickers were you trading mostly? Kind of the same, your same group?
Yeah, so in those instances, I used to like to trade Tesla, but those premiums move a little too fast to
They're
be trading
crazy.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would stick to, in that case, a lot of AMD, Microsoft, Apple, QQQ.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's really cool. All right.
AMD was my favorite for those types of trades.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what it is. I can't get a hold on AMD. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. I'm good with like
AMD's a loose cannon.
It is, man. Like it's really screwed me before. Like I'm good with like tech like Apple. I like Ford, stuff like that, but AMD has just even I'm okay with Nvidia, but AMD has just really screwed me. I don't know what it is.
I do see that question. What paid
Yep.
services do you use or recommend? The only paid services I use or recommend.
100 million Twitch stream. No, I'm kidding.
100 million Twitch stream. Yep, subscribe. You don't necessarily need flow right now. So although I'm a partner with Unusual Whales, I'm not going to go out and tell you to subscribe to Unusual Whales, because if you don't really have a structure to your trading strategy right now, it's not something you necessarily need. I'd say focus. If you want to be spending money on anything right now, focus on spending money on your education. So the only thing I'd recommend for you, if you don't want to make use of all the free education you do have on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, whatever, InvestiTrade or Carmine Rosado has a really fantastic a course he put out for supply and demand trading. It's like an unnecessary amount of hours worth of content he's provided within that course, and it's only like $2.99. You see people on Twitter who have like $1,500 courses you could go and pay for.
God.
It's really cheap for the content he gives. So if you want to start learning more hardcore technical analysis and really diving into price action and not necessarily relying on indicators, Carmine Rosado or InvestiTrade, I think is his name on YouTube, or Carmine Rosado is his name on YouTube. he has a course that he puts out for supply and demand that I strongly recommend.
That's awesome. So there's some paid services that are recommended. Reckless volatility. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
So I usually. Oh, sorry. You have something?
No, just coughing.
Oh, you're good. So I usually kind of wrap these things up with a question that's kind of psychology based, and I think it's relatable for a lot of people who are struggling who might watch this. If someone, maybe yourself or whatever, like you were in this position, so you can relate. You're having these red days after red days. You blew up an account, you reloaded it, you blew it up again, you reloaded it, red day, and you're getting in kind of that mindset. Sorry, I'm repeating. Am I muted? Okay, we're good. Never mind. You get kind of that mindset of just like you're in a dark place, you're not finding the correct moves, you don't really know what you're doing. How do you kind of pull yourself up out of that and turn your strategy around into a way that you can become successful?
Hello.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
yeah. Did you miss all of that?
I have a standing desk and I raised it and my mic wire got plugged out.
Oh no.
And yeah, I completely missed all of that.
Okay. Basically, I was asking a question on psychology. If you're having a ton of red days, you keep blowing up an account over and over again, reloading it. How do you pull yourself up out of that and kind of turn it around?
Extremely difficult. I've been in that position.
Right.
Again, like I mentioned earlier, I completely blew an account. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, take time off and create a strategy and you're going to be fine. Because mentally, it has a really draining effect on an individual, especially if it's money that you need. So if you're continuously using money that you need and you just don't have that disposable income that you don't care about and you're losing it, it has a really weighted effect on both your mentality and your quality of life and everything. So what I really push on people and a route that I personally took is get off the market. Don't stop trading. Like, it's clearly not working, and just reloading your account is just going to put you deeper in the hole. What you need to do, what I did in that scenario, is I took a step back from the market. I told myself I'm not going to trade until I prove to myself that I can be profitable and that I'm in the headspace and in the mentality where I'm going to take this seriously. And what you need to do there is not only first create a strategy or something you are comfortable with trading with, and you don't need to use a bunch of indicators. I'm telling you right now, all you really need is price action, support, resistance, supply and demand, volume. Use that to make your choices on when you're taking trades and when you're not taking trades. And from there going forward, paper trade. Although paper trading isn't the most accurate way to build your comfortability with your strategy, and it takes away that mental side of trading, which is the hardest, it's still going to help you start gaining that comfortability and start gaining that confidence that you need to be able to trade consistently. And if you're just going to keep going back into the market and losing money and really putting that dampening effect on your mentality and your headspace, it's not going to help you. You're going to continue losing that money, and you're just going to continue putting yourself in a hole. So really focus on studying, educating yourself. Use all the free material you have. Don't join Discords. Don't pay for things you don't need to pay for. There's so much education out on YouTube or the internet that you can find. Start getting that comfortability. Start asking questions. A lot of people on Twitter are happy to answer questions, whether it's points to confluence that are strong to use together in trading strategies. You could start putting strategies together like that just from asking questions. So put something together, start paper trading. If you don't want to use a paper trading program, like Thinkorswim has one, you can use just like on pen and paper as you're watching the chart, say, mentally, I take a trade in this position, look at what the contract prices are, and as that trade progresses, mentally you could say, okay, well, I either see PCL, PCH or something you're using, I'd normally exit here, look at contract price, and you could start visualizing where you'd be taking those entries and exits and if you'd be profitable more consistently than you're not.
Got you. That's an awesome answer. Just to touch on that as well, I did have I posted an interesting tweet recently, and it was kind of split on the feedback I got. So if do you think it's a good or well, I mean, obviously we can't give financial advice, but does it hinder the mindset if you're trading to get out of debt, whether it be credit card debt, a car loan you're combating, or some other loans? Do you think it's important to pay those off first before you start trading, or
100%.
yeah, okay,
100%.
okay,
Reason being, in my opinion, is when you're trading for a specific reason and solely for money, if you're trading to get out of a car note, if you're trading to get out of a specific debt, you're focusing strictly on money. And a lot of the times, naturally, as humans, money or monetary value is going to have an emotional effect on us. And if you let something, an outside factor, have an emotional effect on the way you're trading, you're always, most of the time, going to be making decisions based off of that emotional aspect that's hitting you. So if you're sitting there in a trade thinking about, oh, I have my insurance to pay off tomorrow, or
I
I
gotta
have
eat
this
tonight.
credit card I have to pay off, yeah, you're gonna be forcing yourself to take trades in situations that might not necessarily be there because you need to make money.
Right.
Those are positions that I was personally in, where I'd be like, I haven't taken any trades today. Like, I need to take a trade at least to make $100 today before the market closes. And I'd take a trade where I necessarily shouldn't have taken a trade, and I'd lose more money
Right.
because I'm trading off of emotions. I'd take a loss, and I'm like, fuck. Well, I have to pay for blah blah blah. I have to make that up, and then you continually are putting yourself in positions where you're trying to recoup that loss, and you're trying to dig yourself out of that hole. And you're just going to be digging it deeper and deeper and deeper. You have to be trading with a mindset that you have nothing to lose.
Right.
When you have those debts and you have things you have to pay for, you have everything to lose, right? And you can't be trading with everything to lose.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's avoiding what I like to call that quote unquote desperation trading. I hate seeing that.
It's so cliche to say, but you have to trade because you love it, because you want to do it, and because you want to have that battle with yourself to be better and do better every day. If
Right.
you're trading for the money, you're not going to do well. I was in that position. You're not going to do well. You have to trade because it's like, compare it to gaming, right? You game because you want to get better every day. You're not a professional gamer. You're not going to be sitting there making money every day you play. You play because you want to get better and because you want to progress. Look at the market the same way. Oftentimes pretend like all that money's fake and you're like in a Sims world. Trade because you want to prove to yourself that you can be consistent and that you want to be better, and that, if you're that kind of person, you want to tell people you're a good options trader, sure. But trade because it's something you want to do and not something you need to do.
Right. No, exactly. We're seeing a couple questions in chat here. One from Mikey K. I'm not too sure exactly what the question means, but does he show his trade history or any type of validation? Is that a journaling question?
I don't know if it's a journaling question, but if you're talking about like my finances, no. So we take all my trades live on stream, so you can personally, firsthand see if I'm calling everything I'm taking out. So you can see if I'm calling bad trades or not. And I mean, the people in the Twitch chat, Lame Fox, if you're still in here, can tell you that it's all right there in front of you. I'm not hiding anything. But the main reason I keep the financial side of my trading quiet is because I have a lot of family and a lot of friends and a lot of people from my past who follow me on Twitter and on social media, and that's just not something I want to portray, and it's not something that I want to put out there, especially with the relationships I do have and the people around me. I'm very private. I'm a very private person. It's as my family, culturally, it's kind of something you look down on if people are flaunting their money.
Sure.
Right. So that's not the type of person I am, but I'm always transparent about my entries and exits, and if I'm taking losses, and it's live every morning. You can see it first. So
you can't hide it when it's live, for sure.
No, you can't hide it when it's live.
A question from Bazeeks in chat. Any tips on how to be consistent? I think he means through journaling, because I personally think it is the best book a trader can have, and I have found a hard time being consistent, to be honest.
Yeah. So just going back to the money thing, chart chewer. Yes, that's one thing, is like, people treat you differently, whether you want to believe it or not.
Oh,
it
for
doesn't
sure.
matter if you have $10,000, $100,000, $1 million. People are going to start treating you differently. I mean, just by my following on Twitter, people started treating me differently. You know, I can't imagine if it were, you know, if I was fully transparent with everything. So I don't want my relationships affected. I get that question a lot. It's
Right.
you know, again, quality of life type of thing. I don't show like I'm a very private person. I don't show my face on Twitter. I don't, you know, I'm completely anonymous. So
Mm-hmm.
another reason there. But
And you only have 6 Ferraris. That's it.
just 6 Ferraris. No, I'm a
I'm
very
joking. I'm joking.
the only thing I like to spend money on is food. I'm a big food
Yeah.
guy. But
Yeah.
physiques. To talk about that, what I did was I created a long time ago. I had an Excel sheet, or a Google Sheets document where I kind of formatted a trading journal, and I just made it part of my everyday schedule to take, whether it's half an hour or an hour, sitting there in that document. I'd go to all the trades I took. I give my entries, my exits, what return on that trade I had, and then I didn't just put a few words down on, you know, my thought process or how I felt in that trade. I usually spent between that 15-20 minutes writing down an in-depth little paragraph of how I felt during that trade, why mentally I took a trade, why mentally I exited a trade or didn't take a trade, and reading that back every weekend usually, just the trades throughout the week would really help me identify points that I would consistently be doing incorrectly or points that I'd be doing correctly. Because I'd be reading those paragraphs and I'd find things that I write each and every time where I'm like, okay, well, I've seen, you know, I took maybe 8 trades this week. 5 of the trades that I did correctly, each time I had written this in my journal, right? So that's going to be a point that I'm going to be a little bit more acknowledgeable of, or you know, really focus on going forward, because it's obviously doing something correctly for me. And on the other hand, reading through that, I'd see a lot of things or a lot of the same mistakes I'm making where I'm like, you know, I jumped the gun and, you know, I entered with no confirmation and it reversed on me. So I'd see that multiple times throughout the week. And that's a point of how I kind of started forming the 3 commandments. I'd see that consistently throughout those journals where, you know, I'm not looking for confirmation or I'm not looking for a retest to provide structure to that entry. And I'd see that over and over again. And with just reading my journals and kind of formulating my strategy, that's how I created the 3 commandments, is journal entries. I read that, I found points where I was doing things consistently correct, and I found points where I was doing things consistently incorrect. So it allowed me to stray away from bad things and kind of pull the good things towards the core. So just really be strict. Provide a lot of insight on your journal entries. Don't just put, you know, took a bad entry, lost this amount of money, I'm pissed. Provide some insight, provide something that is going to be beneficial to you going forward when you read back on it, because it'll really allow you to take a lot of out of those entries. So every
Gotcha.
week I would suggest, like every Sunday if you have time, every Saturday, read all those entries and take the positives and negatives out of it. Create just a list, and keep doing that going forward, and you'll really quickly be able to see things that you're doing wrong and things that you're doing right.
Got you. We have 3 more questions coming up in chat, and then I think we'll go to start wrapping things up. I like to keep the YouTube video close to an hour, so this is perfect. From Swanky Johnson, he's a regular in the stream. He says, I've had a streak of stopping out of trades only to watch the stock move in my favor a few minutes later. How do you split the line between tight risk management but not getting faked out by wicks through your levels, low volume, selling, etc.? I think it's because I blew up my account and have a little PTSD about not wanting to lose versus letting a play naturally develop.
So that's hard, and it's always situational, right? It depends on what you're trading, when you're trading, the volume, of course, like you were mentioning. I'm very strict all the time with my exits. So if I'm taking an entry, I'm strict with it. If I'm exiting, I'm strict with it. So for me, there's really no line between tight risk management and not getting faked out, because oftentimes I will sell a position where, you know, I'm calling an entry on stream and I have that invalidation of my support level and I sell. But oftentimes that risk is so tight where I'm taking like a 5-7, oftentimes below 10% loss. But then my stream is like, oh, I'm up 80% like an hour later. And I'm like, fuck, you know, if I just held a little bit. But I'm staying true to myself and true to my strategy, right? if I continue to do the same thing going forward and it's working consistently for me, I'm gonna stick to it. So even if I sell on a fake out, I'll just be happy that I sold because I followed my rules. And hopefully next time it works a little bit better for me. But if there's no volume there, if I get my support or resistance invalidated and that's my stop loss, I'm following it each and every time.
Gotcha. Next question is from A Marino 33. Which time frames do you use for support and resistance?
Time frames I use for support and resistance. So I went over that a little earlier. I only draw support and resistance on the daily time frame, the 4-hour time frame, and the hourly time frame. I don't like to go lower than an hour because oftentimes you'll see people's charts with like 45 levels on it, and it's just not something you need. I really just look for the levels that provide the most strength to our price action, and for me, over the course of my career, I've found that the daily, the 4-hour, and the 1-hour have proven to be really consistent for me. The 4-hour and the daily provide a more macro support and resistance areas, and then the hourly provides a little bit more of a micro area to find those support and resistance levels.
Got you. Awesome answer. And then the last question from chat here is from 50 Cent Dollar. Maple Stacks tells us to pay ourselves. How do you decide, maybe not necessarily how much, but when to pay yourself, especially doing this full time? If there's any full-time traders in chat, It's an excellent question.
I look at it in levels of like goals. So say you have a $10,000 account. It's different if you need this money consistently to pay things off. But if you're looking to just pay yourself for the work you're putting in, I look at it in goals or in levels, right? If you have a $10,000 account, for me, I'd be looking at like, okay, if I pull this to 12,000, I'm gonna take $500 out. If I pull this to 15,000, I'll take $1,500 out. And the thing you want to be careful with there is you don't want to be pulling that money out and spending it right away, right? You're gonna need money to pay your taxes, and oftentimes I see people or furus or gurus, whatever the hell you want to call them. They'll be alerting these trades for their followers, and they'll take these trades and they'll be like, oh, I made like $600, and the Twitter individual will respond with, oh, go buy yourself some Gucci, bro, you deserve it. Not smart, because at the end of the day, that individual is going to owe taxes on the money they've made, and if they spent it all on Gucci, you're now going to be out that money that you have to pay your taxes on, and you're going to be in a position where you can't pay your taxes, and that's not something you want to do. So if you're trading and you're pulling out money to reward yourself, don't necessarily spend that, put that in a savings, put it to the side, because you are going to have to pay your taxes at the end of the year. And don't put yourself in a position where you're screwed and the IRS is going to come after you and your family because you owe money for them. So don't be dumb with the money you're pulling out, please.
No, it's funny, man. Nobody talks about taxes on
Nobody
FinTwit.
talks about taxes, and it like bothers me so bad because I've seen it more than once where someone would be like, you told me to spend all my money, I can't pay my taxes. I've seen it on Twitter, and then the person just doesn't reply.
Yeah,
because you shouldn't be telling people to go spend all their profits on steak dinners or Gucci or Yeezys or Rolexes, because they're totally fucked when they have to pay.
No,
I'm pretty active in telling people not to spend the money they're making and spend it after you pay your taxes. If you have money left over once you pay your taxes, go ahead and get yourself something nice. But wait till you pay your taxes so you know what you have.
I hear you. Spend last year's money. How about that? The worst stories are when people make an insane amount, say 100K, and they lose 100K before they do their taxes, but they owe 50K. Jesus. 30% of my weekly gains move to savings account every week. Can become demoralizing when I get stopped out and run out of buying power. Feels like the day was a failure, even though you followed your rules and stick to your plan. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I know that feeling. You just kind of got to take it on the chin and move forward.
Yeah.
I've been in that position. I actually just created a small account too, where I had a day like that, and I forgot kind of how it felt, and then I remembered how it felt, and I was like, yeah, that sucks.
No, I hear you. Yeah, listen, man, I think we'll start to wrap things up here. Huge shout out to SpyGuyTrading. Here he is out on Twitter, guys. If you want to check out his Twitch, we can give him a Twitch shout out in chat. Let me do that really quick. And his Patreon service is on his Twitter as well. Check it out. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Thanks, Ticos. I appreciate that. Definitely check him out. And huge thanks for coming on the show, Spy Guy. It's been awesome. Great meeting you, bro. We'll keep in touch, man.
Yeah, we should do this more forward. If you ever want to hop on for live trading in the morning, or if you ever have live trading in the evenings, I can hop on. We could
Absolutely.
Chop it up. But thank you for having me. Thank you everybody for being here and listening into what I have to say. I hope somebody somewhere got something positive or influential out of it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me. I hope everyone, including you, 100 a million, all have a good weekend. Take that Monday to yourselves. Enjoy yourselves. Prepare for Tuesday.
I don't know if I get it in Canada.
Just thank you. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. You are legendary.
Just showing my appreciation. I appreciate what you do. You know, you're taking your time out to do this.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for having me.
100%, bro. I'll be in touch with you for sure. I got some more questions and things. I'm sure everybody does. But, yeah, we'll keep in touch. Thank you for coming on the show, man. This video will be available as soon as I end the stream. You guys can go to my Twitch channel, and it'll be right under videos. And you guys can rewatch it. You can put it on double speed or slow it down, and so you can really take some notes on what Spy Guy was talking about. And then a few days after today, I'll upload it to the YouTube channel, which I'll post in chat. It's just command YouTube. Oops, that's not how you spell YouTube. There it is. So you guys can check out the YouTube channel as well if you want to catch this video. It'll be locked there. F's in chat for my spelling mistake. Thank you, Spy Guy, for coming on. We'll talk to you next time, brother. Have a great weekend, man. You deserve it.
You as well. Thank you again. See ya.
Take care. All right, guys. That was Spy Guy Trading. What are the odds that Jason starts playing, too? This is the outro song. This is the one without lyrics, though. I got to put on the regular one. How was that, guys? Type a 1 in chat if you enjoyed today's Trader Spotlight interview. Season 2, Episode 3. This will be going live on YouTube and on my Twitch channel as soon as I hit the end button. So look forward to that, guys. Let me play the original version here. Awesome. Look at the ones coming in. Yo, Dev, thank you for the 9 months. Let's go. You are legendary. Thank you, Dev, for the continued support. Appreciate you. Thank you for the first-time chats and all the follows today, guys. If you enjoyed the content, please come back in. If you want to support me, you can feel free to subscribe or give some subs. I truly appreciate it. Gets you some emotes, and you can avoid commercials and stuff like that. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I love and appreciate this community. I'll see you in the next one. Tomorrow, we have Herv Trades coming on live. If you guys like small caps and like trading commons, that is going to be the Trader Spotlight for you. You don't want to miss it. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you sub for 9 months, he'll make you a mod. That's true. I did hear that somewhere. You do not want to miss Herv. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take some time out of your day. We'll be live for about an hour. Same thing as today. We'll see you guys next time. 100 out.